A quick post-production note, the Dietary Guidelines for Americans was released one day before this episode is published, so next week we'll focus on those guidelines and the Munch Munch episode will be moved to the following week.
But I did interview the other manifestation expert.
Are you able to tell us what she was wearing? Because I want to know that it was like flowy, batik, tie-dye.
No, she could have been like a millennial grayish influencer. I will tell you that.
Welcome back to Making It Awkward. I'm Jessica Wilson. This is an independent podcast brought to you by people who haven't manifested for 2026 yet and probably aren't going to. Additionally, today, this podcast is brought to you by someone whose Saturn may or may not be making a comeback. You can watch the podcast on YouTube and you can email the pod at makingitawkwardpod@gmail.com. You can support the show by rating, reviewing, and subscribing to the show. Thanks so much to Jane and T. Lee for becoming Patreon members. Patreon members will help sustain this podcast in 2026 and hopefully into 2027. You can buy shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, and stickers that say, I came, I saw, I made it awkward on my website. Today, Lindsay Lee Wallace returns to the show to talk about the idea of thought, hygiene, OCD, magical thinking, and manifesting. Lindsay shares the highlights of a conversation she had with a manifestation coach, and we try to make sense of whether the business of manifesting is net positive or net negative and the inherent inequities in the model. She also brings her thoughts about wellness as a line item in a budget and how it all connects to a failed diet. We get into the need for some people to feel like they have control in a deeply uncertain world and those who would make good candidates for manifestation. Lindsay and I start the episode with a discussion about Dr. Robert Lustig and his company's first product, Munch Munch, a supposed fiber sponge that will just soak up sugar. Munch Munch asked me to be a paid partner for social media for the fiber sponge, so of course, I said yes. I'm not sure if the PR team knew who they were talking to, but either way, I got to try Munch Munch for free, send it around to some friends for their reviews, and make a cute Christmas video with my dad. Lindsay shares her hypothesis on the paid partnership today, and next week I'll give you the full breakdown of this Munch Munch partnership from the literal top to the bottom. A quick note to new listeners that we briefly mentioned keto as a reason I couldn't speak to the ability of Munch Munch to soak up sugar. And I'll refer these new folks to last summer's episode on my epilepsy and keto trial. And with that, Lindsay, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me back. I'm so happy to be here.
It's great to see you again. For those who are watching, this is Lindsay. Right there.
God. Yeah.
And Lindsay's torso and Lindsay right there.
I think that photo booths are more confusing than we give them credit for. That's my hot take.
That's fine. I like it. Yes, it was lovely meeting you in New York.
Yes.
Okay.
We saw O'Mary. It was great. I don't know if O'Mary will still be running when this podcast airs. I don't know if O'Mary is still running right now. Everyone see O'Mary. If you
End of story. If you can, see it. It was great. It was amazing. Yep. Lindsay, since I get to talk to you, you and I actually talked about Lustig when I met with you last. It was part of the intro. I said that Lustig was saying that ultra-processed foods are here to stay and we might as well make them healthier. Fast forward to today. Today, I've posted my hashtag paid sponsorship, hashtag ad with Munch Munch, Lustig's company's first product. How does the internet work, my young friend? What is happening on the internet? Well, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
I mean, like, first of all, congratulations on the SpawnCon. Very happy for you. Your influencer journey is so exciting to witness. I think that there is, like, as a freelance journalist, I sometimes get pitches for things that feel like even a cursory search of the things that I write about or the way that I talk on the internet would rule me out as a good vessel for whatever message they are.
Mm-hmm.
There's something called the AI death clock that I get pitched. Like, I want roughly every 3 weeks, sometimes more frequently, they're like, do you want to write about the AI death clock? And I'm like, there's maybe nothing that I'm less interested in.
Yes.
which I've now said like 8 times. So I hope that I have a check coming from the AI death clock people, because I really just pumped them up. But when you told me that, you know, Lustig's company was like interested in having you as an ambassador of Munch Munch, I felt like it was either a massive mistake or their way of saying like, but are you actually like, but can you be bought? Like, do you really hold the values that you espouse? Which is like a good question to generally be asking yourself about everyone you get information from, I guess. So I think that the way that you are navigating that, like the weird sphere of being like a public intellectual and kind of an influencer and kind of like a person who they're like, well, but if you said something good about it, then that would mean more than if almost anyone else said something good about it.
Interesting.
So I think the way you're navigating that is very interesting. And I'm very interested to see how it's going to continue playing out.
They offered Lustig to be on my podcast.
And so when is that episode going to drop? Is he joining us right now? Or?
Surprise! And in the conversations, the things that they asked me actually to talk about, and I said no. Thankfully, keto sucks, but thankfully I was able to say that I can't speak to any of the sugar sponge of it all because I'm not eating that many carbs. So thankfully I got out of that one. And I can't say yes that it lowered my blood sugar or anything like that. So at least like that research hadn't been done. I like my alternative, like my option B for all of this is that they're looking for the negative press in this, perhaps. In the same week I got this request, I also got a request from Paula Saladino's company asking if I wanted to try organ meat in exchange for a real, yes.
I wish I had. I know that people eat organ meat all the time and it's not a big deal, but just the way, like, do you want to try organ meat is like such a scary email.
And like the hashtag was something about how I eat organs or the way that organs are good for me. Yes. So I was like, is this like a Maha, like trying to convert Jessica into, into a Maha supporter, or like to eat our foods and realize they're good?
Or like, are they going to be able to say like, oh, well, she answered our email, so that means that, you know, she can be bought and it's not meaningful what she has to say? Or I just don't really believe that they believe enough in what they're doing that they would actually be like, she's going to change her mind once she tries these Munch Munch products. Like, once she has this organ meat, she's going to totally shift her perspective.
Yes, she's going to take down her episodes about these literal people.
Yeah.
I've talked openly about. Yes. Yeah, I've always said, as you have also heard, I would be paid by millions of dollars to change my stance on ultra-processed foods. So I can't say Lustig paid me anywhere close to millions. But yeah, I can be hashtag paid by somebody. That is if they don't realize who I am before they pay me, which is like another thing that I'm thinking about right now. So
the offer stands to anyone listening with millions of dollars. Or, I mean, like, but for when they realize who you are, that's more, you know, meaningful. I don't know if this is going to be relevant, but I interviewed this guy who had written this memoir that was basically just him attempting to rebut a series of claims of assault that were made against him. And I read it and I was like, this is disgusting. This man is disgusting. And I wanted to speak with him basically just because I was like, so rarely am I given the opportunity to tell somebody that I was not convinced by their attempt to like rebut credible allegations against them, and that I thought that their book was bad. And that was a really, I don't know, like probably ultimately not meaningful at all. But for me, I enjoyed that experience. And I was really surprised when I got that email because I was like, I don't think that anything about me makes me seem like I would be sympathetic to this man. I don't know how I got on this list. Is it just that they're like, all press is good press, and if you say something negative, then that'll like boost the SEO of the book? Or is it like, if you could be convinced, then that would be more meaningful than like somebody being convinced who was already sympathetic? Or do they just not do their research? And like, in the situation of, you know, you and Lustig, there's absolutely no way that the answer is that they didn't do their research, because that would be bonkers. But as a like overarching question of what's going on the internet, It's hard to say. What's going on in PR world also is part of that.
So you think they do know that I've talked about Lustig multiple times?
I think so. I think that they would have to be like negligent in a way that is like that they should be fired if they weren't able to discern that.
Okay, so hopefully we will figure this out before, this episode airs.
Yeah.
Okay. Love a hypothesis.
Like, having worked not as a publicist, but with publicists, like when I was ghostwriting and when I worked in book publicity and stuff like that, there's like a database where they can say, like, if you're reaching out to this person, then like, here's all the past conversations we've had with them, or like, here's our impressions of them. Like, if no one put that next to your name, then Lustig needs to fire his team. Like, I don't know what to...
I mean, yeah. Don't you think? So, I mean, the guy that I talked to, lovely who he was, looked 12 years old and like he had just woken up 5 minutes before getting on the call to talk to me.
Man, I in my own heart.
In the email they sent, they were like, we're so glad that you're basically on our side when it comes to ultra processed foods and how bad they are. So that, I don't know. Lindsay.
I mean, maybe they're just really incompetent. I feel like it's a long con. I feel like they're trying to like, I don't know.
As am I. Yeah. I was thinking, it was like, is this just a game of chicken? Like, are Lustig and I going to end up on a stage somewhere? Having a one-on-one conversation? Because I would love that. Yeah. I was like, who is going to like jump off this train first? Is that what we're playing? Yeah. I'm here for that.
I'm here for that too. I hope that happens.
What got you interested, invested in magical thinking as far as the work that you're doing right now?
When I was in elementary school, my mom listened to this book in the car as a book on tape called The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, which is like widely credited with introducing the concept that we now commonly call manifestation to like a wider audience. And the basic premise of it was that if you think about something, then you put that energy into the universe, and then what the thing that you were thinking about will come back and happen to you. So if you think about being very wealthy or, you know, all whatever good things you want to have happen to you, then you can make them happen. But also that if you think about bad things, then the bad things will happen to you as well. And I was in my little booster seat in the back seat of the, you know, the Jeep thinking like, what if my mom is late picking me up from after school because she got into a car accident?
Oh.
And then eventually my mom was late picking me up from after school because she got rear-ended at a stop sign. And I was like, I did that.
No.
And nobody thought to question whether that was the thought process of a normal and well-adjusted child. And I grew up and now I'm fine. But
thriving.
Generally, I think that for some people, like, manifestation is very fun, or, you know, like, selectively they talk about it as, like, sort of a tongue-in-cheek thing. Some people take it really seriously, and it's tied to, like, their version of spiritualism. People who aren't afraid that they're the reason that their mom got rear-ended at a stop sign are having a really good time with manifestation. But in recent writing that I have done as a freelance journalist on the topic of obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD, I have been learning more about a subtype of OCD called magical thinking OCD, which is basically like the dark side of the concept of manifestation, which is a belief that your thoughts can influence the world around you and could therefore bring harm to you and your loved ones, or that you have to think certain things or do certain things in order to bring good things to you and your loved ones. And if those good things don't happen, it's because you didn't think the right thoughts or do the right things. And I want to say that, like, I am not in any way a mental health professional or anything. So if that's not a good description, that's totally fair. And I'm sorry. But it was really weird to be thinking about these two things side by side. One of them being like debilitating and terrifying, because the most intense time I've ever experienced that was that instance as a kid. But consistently in my life, I have to like remind myself that it is not true that if I think about something bad, it'll happen. And then, you know, you like open Instagram or whatever, and you see people being like, manifest for the new year that you're gonna be so rich and so hot. And I'm like, I can't even begin to entertain the idea that that could be true.
Yeah. So do you think you're uniquely primed because of your elementary school experience to think that manifestation is not going to make me wealthy? Or
I mean, I think that what's going to make you specifically wealthy is your endless brand deals with Monch Monch. But for the rest of us,
for the rest of us mere mortals, yes.
I think that I was a child who would have found something to have that reaction to, and that happened to be the thing that happened. And I think that it is dangerous for some people to be overly exposed to the idea that everything good or bad that happens to them is the result of the way that they are thinking, especially because, as we know, most of the worst things that happen to us are because there are like 8 corporations that control the entire world, and it's very profitable for them, for my mom to get rear-ended at a stop sign. No, not that, but, you know, other bad things.
Yeah. And accidents are still in the top, like however many like leading deaths of people. So like bad things are going to happen for a variety of reasons, not because we thought them so.
Yes. And I was feeling really interested in learning more about this. And I had received not 1, but 2 PR pitches asking me to interview experts on manifestation. And, you know, that was, I was talking before about like pitches I get where I'm like, why would you ever think I was the right person to ask about that? And these weren't necessarily like that bad, but they were people that I'd gotten like a lot of emails about these 2 people that I had mostly ignored. But then when you and I started talking about having this conversation, I was like, oh, maybe I do want to talk to them. And I responded to one of them, and her representative was very like, oh yeah, it would be great to set up a time to talk. When are you available? Also, who are you thinking of? Like, what outlet are you considering? What angle are you considering? And I tried to be, you know, very forthcoming about like, I'm interested in learning more about this. It's not something that I have a lot of experience with, and it's something that I honestly feel kind of skeptical about, but I would love to have it explained to me by somebody who thinks that it is a force for good in the world. And I said that I was gonna most likely talk about it on this podcast, and that I didn't know where else I might write about it for. And then the person was like, actually, she's not available.
Oh.
And I was like, can you tell me why? And they were like, well, to have confirmed coverage, which I personally, having interviewed and written about a lot of people without a confirmed outlet, you know, that might be the policy of that particular person. That might be the policy of that particular PR firm. Or it might just be that they were like, oh, you seem like you're going to say something bad about this idea, so we don't want to talk to you after all. I have no idea. I don't know, but that was disheartening. But I did interview the other manifestation expert.
Are you able to name them?
I feel weird about it. I don't know.
Fair.
She is a manifestation expert from the UK who has published multiple books about manifestation.
Oh.
I don't know, because it's not my intention to like make fun of her or to make fun of manifestation, but I was really I really tried to go into it being like, at my worst, I actually completely buy into this idea in a way that is, you know, damaging to me. So if somebody can explain it to me, I want to be open-minded about that. And I was like, wow, I feel really unconvinced by this. And I actually think this perspective is like kind of horrifying. So yeah.
What was the perspective? Tell us about this. Are you able to tell us what she was wearing? Because I want to know that it was like flowy, batik, tie-dye.
No, she could have been like a millennial grayish influencer. I will tell you that was that her face and body and the wall behind her were not the same colors. So she was already operating above me in terms of presentation, but she was very beautiful. As anyone who is able to attract being very beautiful by thinking really hard about being very beautiful would be. Basically, the conversation led me to the conclusion that if you are a person who already has all of your material needs met and you are lucky enough to be very healthy and to not be facing any kind of like really significant interpersonal problems or structural violence, and you would say that your life is at like a 7.5, then you could probably use this philosophy to bring your life to like an 8 or an 8.5.
Got it. Okay.
Because you're basically like, I do believe that, you know, when I go through my whole day thinking like the universe is against me, that I feel sad and bad. And that when I go through my day thinking like a good thing could happen to me, that I feel better. And normally that's because I didn't get enough sleep or because I like, you know, stayed up late watching sad videos on the internet.
Sure.
And not because I'm putting the wrong energy into the universe and therefore attracting harmful whatever. But so I think she's mostly just talking to people who are like, I feel bad about myself. And she's like, you don't have to feel bad about yourself. You're great. And then the person's like, oh my God, I'm great. And then their life gets better. And that completely makes sense if the extent of your problems is that you need someone to tell you that you're great.
Yes. Do you see overlaps with religion and astrology?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, again, like I'm not a religious person, nor am I an adherent of astrology. So like, I don't want to be glib about things that are really important to people. And I also don't want people to try to tell me about like, there's a lot of upheaval happening in my specific life right now. And I just turned 28. So a lot of people are talking to me about my Saturn return.
Yes.
And I just want everyone to know that I don't believe in or give a shit about the return of my Saturn. But thanks.
Yeah. Wait, pause. Tell me how this goes. Give me an example of a conversation. I've had them, but
yeah.
Tell me. Yeah.
Like I'm talking about like my best friends, people I love very much. I'm not like, you know, but I'm like, yes, it's been like very hard because I lost my job and my relationship ended and oh yeah.
What? I'm so sorry.
Thank you. But, you know, when I talk about that and then also my job, like people are very like, well, you know, like it's a really auspicious time for there to be change happening. And I think that the next year of your life is going to be like the best year that you've ever had. And it's not even that I'm like upset by that idea. Like that would be great. But I'm just sort of like, I don't think that there is a plan for me. And if the next year of my life is the best year that I've ever had, then I hope that every year after that gets better because I don't want the best year of my life to happen a third of the way in because that would suck. But yeah, I don't know. It's just sort of a thing where I'm like it's kind of like when my mom died and lots of people, you know, have the things that they say to you about a death that are very like based on their own worldview. And I think that whenever anyone dies, we all want to comfort ourselves about the reminder that mortality exists. So I don't blame people. But just like I am not comforted by like, she's in a better place now because I don't think there's a better place. I also am not comforted by like, the energy of Saturn is returning to your life and coming with it are sweeping changes. And I'm just like, okay, sure. All of that sounds great if it's true.
And if this year sucks, like, next year's probably going to be better. So like that kind of affirms/confirms.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing about, you know, like most people's lives, something good will eventually happen. And so you can really just like lean on confirmation bias if you make your money saying like something good will happen to you eventually. Like it's almost always true for everyone.
And then when that thing happens, it was obviously because I manifested it.
Exactly. And that'll be, you know, $49.95 or whatever.
Or a monthly subscription.
Probably a monthly subscription. Probably it's manifestation as a service now.
Manifestation coaching?
Literally, yes. That's actually what the person that I spoke to does. And again, I'm like, the thing that really got me about it was that she was talking about, you know, the different like things that she helps people with. And I was, you know, curious about like the breadth of people and types of situations that she interacts with. And she was like basically talking about like people who want to start their own business, but they don't think they're good enough to start their own business, which is just like, I have a really limited amount of patience for the concept that like the most interesting thing you could be in the world is an entrepreneur, because like my dad is a mechanic and he owned his own garage and he sold used cars, and nobody was like being like, I've got to get this entrepreneur on my podcast to talk, because that's not an industry that we like lionize that way. And there's like this weird divide between the concept of being a small business owner and being an entrepreneur. And I often feel like the difference really is that entrepreneurs like sell ideas and concepts and non-material goods. But, you know, I could be proven wrong, because that's, you know, life is actually much more complex than that. However,
I love that. I was watching the Breaking Big Food documentary, and I had a visceral reaction to the name of the couple that they were going to follow, because their description was entrepreneur, and I was like, that was what it was. That was it. And one, confusing. Two, why? Like, what are you trying to tell me? But it was like the organic coffee shop idea and like community. It was the idea. It wasn't they were just like people opening a coffee shop. It fully was that. Yeah.
And like because it's not like there's no actual good associated with it, but it's like if you are thinking of yourself as like, I'm a founder, I'm in the grind set, then it's not enough for you to just say like, I sell coffee, I sell cars. You're going to be like, I sell a lifestyle, I sell a business model. I like you know, I think that like it's a very mythologized way to live your life. And I get why for some people that's aspirational. I don't see it that way personally.
Sure. You mentioned having a plan, or like there is a plan for your life. And that definitely reminds me of my like 6 month foray into Baptist religion via my bestie. Like
when was that?
This was high school.
Okay.
Yeah. High school.
You're not like coming out of it right now. You're like, by the way.
No. This was like Thursday night youth groups, and there was a cute person there. So, this is what that was. Actually, so I'd only been to youth group and not the church service, but all of youth group was like, God has a plan for your life. Like, don't worry about anything. There already is a plan. And then anything good was like, it's because that was God's plan for you all along. And I'm like, so bad things were also, you know, in God's plan. And I know during COVID and other times, of course, people were like, it's okay because God has a plan. And I was like, does it make it okay? I don't know.
Yeah, like
confirmation bias again, I think. Like when it becomes good, that proves that it, you know, there is a plan, and and it's good. Yeah. I don't know.
And when it's bad, you're doing something wrong. Whether it's, you know, you're trying to follow some diet that is highly unrealistic, and if it's not working, then that's because you know, aren't following it meticulously enough, and that's your fault. Sure. Or you thought a bad thought, and so the universe brought havoc to your life because of the bad thought that you thought, and you weren't meticulous enough in, you know, thought hygiene or something.
That will be the title of this episode. Yes.
But so, like as I was talking to this manifestation coach, I was increasingly trying to get at like, okay, but what do you do if your life is not just like, I want to start my own business, but I'm too scared. But your life is like, I am experiencing something horrible and I want manifestation to help me.
Yeah.
And she did tell me about a couple of people who stopped taking all of their medications through working with her, which I think is complex because there are a lot of people who don't want to be on all the medications that they're on and maybe don't need to be. And there are also a lot of people who really do need to be on all the medications that they're on and don't need to be, encouraged by somebody without any medical expertise to stop taking them. And I don't know any of the people that she talked about, so I can't speak to that. But I found that to be, after she told me that, I said, well, do you ever work in concert with people's like wider care teams? Like, do you ever consult with their doctors or their psychiatrists or anything before you suggest that they stop taking their medications? She was like, no, what I do is different from that. And people come to me when they don't want to interact with that kind of care anymore. And then I was, increasingly like, okay, well, it got to a point where I just said, okay, so within your framework, why do bad things happen to good people?
Okay.
And she was like, well, if you are thinking negative things, then you will attract negative things. Like, it really was just, it is your fault. Whatever happened to you, whether you are simply, upset about your divorce or you can't start your business or whatever, or like a horrible tragedy has befallen you, it is because you were not thinking the right kinds of thoughts, which I just find to be like a poisonous philosophy.
Gosh. And then the spiral. Yeah. Like what? Oh, no. How long was that conversation? That sounds wild.
It was like, actually, I can tell you it was exactly 45 minutes because it fit within my prescribed free Zoom block of time. And as we were wrapping it up, the clock was counting down the last minute. And I was like, I have to get out of this before we get kicked out of the Zoom call.
45 minutes. I'm with you. So does that person become like the next religious leader? Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I was asking, what are your aspirations? Because obviously in some areas, manifestation is very, very popular. And then in other areas, it's something that like people are very interested in debunking. Do you like interact with people who are skeptical of manifestation and like try to change their minds? Or do you like stay very much in your own bubble? And she said that she very much stays in her own bubble. So I don't think she's aspiring to become the next religious leader, but you never know. And then all the people that she, encouraged to stop taking their medications without consulting their prescribers. Which again, I don't inherently trust people who are able to prescribe, but I also don't trust strangers who are like cold turkey off your antidepressants.
Sure. Huh. Okay. Did you get an idea of like, do people wake up in the morning and manifest, or is it like at the beginning of a year?
She was saying, well, she did want to talk about resolutions. So also we can definitely talk about that in a New Year's way. But
yes,
she said that people like get up in the morning and do like breath work and meditate, and that those things are like, she has specific protocols for people that she sells to them that they follow to manifest.
Oh, I mean, that kind of sounds like traditional yoga practices before they, like meditation and breath work. That kind of sounds like something else that I've heard of.
Yeah. I mean, I think that like part of the reason that I imagine it works is that you're doing things that are proven to help people feel better.
Yes.
You're like, when I get up and I meditate and do breath work, I'm calmer. And then my interpersonal relationships, thrive because I'm able to have productive conversations. But all of this is being sold to me as I manifested better relationships with my loved ones rather than I was feeling more calm and centered. And therefore I was able to be more patient or something.
Yeah. Every morning when I wake up and pick up my phone, I'm like, wow, you know what I could have been doing? Not this. And here I am. And how likely that would make me a more calm and centered person. So, and it wouldn't, like I didn't need to pay somebody for that at all. For that information. Oh, so true. So
but
true.
The thing about it that really kind of makes me go like, I don't even know, is like, if she is the way that you learn about the things that make your life materially better, even if what she's calling it is wrong, like even if she's telling you that the thing making your life better is like the metaphysics of you bringing energy into your life by thinking certain thoughts. And then also she happened to teach you about meditation and breath work. Like, I know that the answer is that manifestation is not what made your life better, but I am like, the woman who sold you manifestation sold you the thing that made your life better. So I get why it is like a gray area, or that like, you know, like when people go to like a religious, like a group worship and they all sing together, the like psychological experience of all singing together is this like incredible thing. And I have experienced that even though I'm not a religious person. So to me, I'm like, this is what it feels like to all sing together. And to other people, it's like, this is what it feels like to be with God. And I am like, I mean, I guess we're talking about the same feeling and you're calling it a different thing than me, but that doesn't mean that we're not both feeling the thing. But, you know, I feel like you can shut that whole line of questioning down pretty quickly if then one of us says like, and yeah, if you're chronically ill, it's because you think bad thoughts. And then I'm like, oh, never mind. We're not talking about the same thing.
Right. And when I commune with Jesus, then I'm not gay anymore. Oh, wait.
Exactly.
We're not doing the same thing. Yeah. But singing was nice. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, that reminds me of the Andrew Huberman regrifting episode and how, yes, he sells like being quiet and breath work and taking a breath when you're at every stop sign and stuff, and like it being part of his practice and selling that. And it's like, wow, people have been doing this forever, calling it something else. Yeah. But again, if it's a good thing and that's your entry point to it, okay.
Yeah.
Better like, people. But also, what are also?
But also it feels like it could send you into like an actual crisis if you were a person who believed that your thoughts had an impact on the world and that if you didn't think the right things that you were going to hurt people.
Yeah, you missed a day. And therefore, like, there's a lot of bad things happening out there. And is somebody thinking it's because they didn't do the right thing?
Yeah. Oh, and there are some people I can name who should be thinking that the bad things happening are because they didn't do the right thing.
But they're definitely not thinking that.
Definitely not.
Is there enough good thoughts to go around? Like, does this idea, is it predicated on, like, there is a good thought and a bad thought? You know, like, there are people having bad thoughts and that's why bad things are happening. But if you're the good person, you'll have the good ones. Like, is that required? Or could we all just be, like, good and then gooder? I don't know.
That's really interesting. I don't know. Is there like a limited supply of good thoughts and therefore good things?
Right. And if you're the one that's doing the good thoughts, then you get the good ones and then the other people get the bad ones.
I don't know. I mean, I think that like in order to be a successful business model, like inherently that has to be true on some level because otherwise there wouldn't be like scarcity or whatever. Like, but also maybe not. I think I didn't ask her that. Maybe she would have said something really inspiring.
Yeah.
Because like she was also talking about how like at the end of the day, she was like, the main thing that stops people is that they have a belief that they learned at some point in their lives, probably as a child, and it doesn't have to be a capital T trauma, but they have a belief that they learned at some point in their lives that they are not good enough and that they do not deserve whatever it is that they want. And like, I don't even necessarily disagree with that. Like, I think most people are worried that they're not good enough, but I'm also like they are just paying for a very nice, very pretty lady to tell them that they're good enough. And actually, I have also done that, even though it wasn't a manifestation coach, it was a therapist. So like,
the yoga, the therapy, we're getting it from what did you say? What about the gray? She could be
the grayish of her, like the millennial grayish thing, the like gray beige, very like influencer. Yeah.
Like, yeah, what else are you thinking about?
I feel like it comes back to like wellness as like a luxury good kind of, because, you know, it's not that you need traditional healthcare. It's not that you need like better resources or access to like things that will make you feel better. It's that you are like in a position to have an added like line item on your budget for somebody who is teaching you to like think the right way, to like, and not think the right way as in like, you know, thought stop like obsessions and compulsions, but think the right way as in like, this is a science and you're going to, you know, put energy into the universe and then you're going to bring back the right kind of energy as well. And like, that is the framework of it, is that it's like a scientific thing and they have like, you know, words that they say that make it sound scientific that I don't remember.
Yeah. for sure. What about resolutions and manifestations for the new year?
Well, apparently the reason that manifestations or resolutions, the reason that resolutions for the new year usually fail is that you are not truly changing how you see yourself. And so you might say, I want to start, gardening more, but you don't see yourself as a person who gardens. And so once you lose your motivation that powers you through the first couple weeks of gardening and you feel like, oh, I don't want to go outside or whatever, mm-hmm. you will not be able to keep up your dedication to your new lifestyle because you haven't truly put into the universe that you have changed the kind of person that you are to become a person who gardens.
Wow. Okay. I get it. What? Okay. I see the difference. The person who, yes.
I don't necessarily even think is like, I don't know what to say about that. I'm like, okay, sure. I don't know. Like,
no, that's actually a really great example.
And if you're not able to make it out, then you didn't really believe that you deserved to make it out, and you didn't believe that you were a person who could make it out. Ouch. Which is like, yeah. Like, people do have self-sabotaging beliefs. Like, that's why I keep it, like, is like a snake swallowing its own tail in my head, because I'm like, it's not that I don't think that everyone would benefit from having the belief that they deserve good things.
Yes.
I just don't actually think that will make good things happen to you. Like, you'll just probably feel better while bad things happen to you.
Sure. Which is also nice. I would like that.
No, totally. Like, I definitely, when I like miss my train, I'm way less stressed if I'm like, oh man, I didn't make it than I am if I miss my train and I'm like, the universe doesn't want me to be on this train because I don't deserve good things. Like, that's way too much.
Yes. That's a great example. Yes. Because I will definitely get myself caught in, but it's only like the bad things also for me, like that. Exactly. Right. It's never like I got, I don't know, something good. Oh, like, it's not like I've got a munch deal and like, that's because I identify as a fiber influencer, you know?
Well, you should.
Well, okay. Fiber maxing is a thing. So maybe some other fiber people will see this and want to pay me. Yeah. Double.
Wouldn't fiber maxing just make you like,
we'll say poop your brains out for the PG version of this episode. Well, Lindsay, thank you for asking, because in at least my research of Munch as a company, Lustig did say you can eat 30 grams or 300 grams of fiber in a day. And it's basically the same because that 300 is just going to come right through you.
I don't. Okay.
30 or 300, like both are just gonna come through you. They're not gonna be absorbed, and that would be fiber maxing to me. Actually, that would be fiber maxing. Anyhow, we got off track. Oh, that's painful to think about. Anyhow,
and probably painful to experience.
Oh yes, Munch did not do good things for me.
I am very sorry to hear that.
That's all right. I'll put them in the mail to you. I'll message you after this.
And it'll only make it to me if I'm thinking fibrous.
If you think you want to poop your pants, it will arrive in the mail. Otherwise, it will get lost.
That's also why the insurance company is being this way about my colonoscopy, because I am not thinking of myself as somebody who wants to shit my brains out. Who wants to poop my pants?
Always a good time. Anything that you've learned out in the womanosphere that you want to update people on before we end?
Well, one more thing about that feels important to mention about the manifestation overlap with magical thinking as a negative thing. That I forgot to say before. I asked her, like, why do my good thoughts not always attract things, or why do my bad thoughts attract things, or how do I stop my bad thoughts from attracting things? Because I was like, so within this worldview, do you ever work with people who are afraid that their bad thoughts are attracting things? And she said that the thing that makes a thought attract something to you, positive or negative, is if it's associated with a strong emotion. And so she basically was like, if you have scary thoughts, but they're not associated with a strong emotion, then it's fine. And sort of that was her way of saying, like, so it's okay. As though the only strong emotion would be a positive one. When in fact, I think that scary things that keep you up at night, obsessing over them, are associated with fear and panic and terror. And often if they're things that you are like really, horrified to even have in your mind, they're associated with like shame and guilt. So the idea that I feel like I kept asking for clarification in the hopes that she would tell me something that sort of was comforting. And then it just kept getting more and more terrifying with every question that I asked. And it was like, what'll really bring those bad thoughts to you is if you feel strongly about them. And I was like, oh, I super do. So thank you for that.
My bad thoughts typically are strong. Yeah, come with strong feelings.
Yeah.
Fear. Yes. Wow. So it's great.
And out in the womanosphere, there are, individual startups that will sell you one specific service that you can use to, get one little part of the healthcare that you need, rather than having a primary care physician or having comprehensive access to healthcare. You can pay like their streaming services, all of these little individual startups. And then, as we're seeing happen with streaming services, I'm sure they all want to get acquired by United Healthcare or something one day. So I can't wait.
Yeah. And Lindsay, just because you seem to be fascinated / interested and the target person for it, how do you feel about AI?
I think that we all need to be more anti-AI right now.
Yes.
The best time to be anti-AI was 2 years ago, and the second best time is today.
There we are. I think it's a great way to end.
I hope that I didn't say anything that was really inaccurate about any of the things I talked about.
Well, we love a part 2 episode. We can bring you back with somebody who disagrees with you. No. But we'll bring you back with Lustig if he comes on the show.
And Lustig agrees with me about everything. And with you, because you support his mission. So,
Lindsay, thank you for coming back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much to Lindsay for returning to the show. We're already planning some heated rivalry episode topics for the near future, so if you haven't seen it, I recommend checking it out. You can find Lindsay's previous episodes about the ultra-processed food hysteria to Tradwife pipeline, the womanosphere, and journalism linked in the show notes. And I'll be back next time with the literal ins and outs of my partnership with Munch Munch. That will be next week, unless the dietary guidelines for Americans come out, in which case those will take priority. Until next time, friends, manifest awkwardly. This has been Making It Awkward. I'm Jessica Wilson. You can support the show by rating, subscribing, review it. You can watch it on YouTube. You can join the Patreon. This episode is edited by Jen Jacobs, who has amazing thought hygiene. You can email the pod at makingitawkwardpod@gmail.com. You can buy merch on my website. This is supported by the Legacy of Sacramento Outboard Services. Take care.